Shocked after 38 years of being together and married. Short story. Dated since high school for 5 years. Married 33 years. Total 38 years together. Just found out wife cheated with 30 to 40 men during the 5 years we dated. Says she regrets it. Said she was lonely or because we were fighting or broke up for the day. Says she been faithful every day since we married. How do I know that? Or trust that? But now says she can't remember anything of who they were or where or how they all went down. Swears. No memories. I'm hurting and depressed, can't sleep wondering who they were. How did I not know? Or see the signs? And how can she claim she don't remember? Do I forgive and keep 38 years going or cut my loss and be single? Detailed long story. It's a long read, probably mistakes as I'm just rambling and throwing out thoughts, pecking on AI phone. But I have to try and get my heart back in the right place after a talk with my wife of 33 years and some things that did not add up. And my mind just keeps going back to some things said and it rolls through my mind every night. I have tried to just put it off and think of other things. Yet I just keep coming back to this nightly crying. I am putting this down on paper. I'm trying to get the questions out of my head so I quit mulling over them daily. And most at night. I have tried just holding her every night to put my head in a good space, praying I go to sleep with great thoughts of holding her, and this did not happen. But then here it comes full on every night. I really want to put closure to it. And right now I lay there rolling this over and over and over of how she fucked so many other men during our 5 dating years before we married. But now after hearing of so many more she fucked, it's consuming me crying. Eating me up needing to know answers. On a recent trip out of town and to time on the airplane, I asked my wife how many men she was with before me. I asked her a number and she did not answer, just sat there looking into space. So I said, are we talking 30 jokingly? Thinking honestly to myself she may have been with maybe 4 or 5 guys, tops, prior to me. I figured she would roll her eyes and give me a dirty look and correct me and say I was crazy and say no way and that she had only been with 4 or 5 guys before me. Yet she remained quiet as she looked down. Then I said 30 to 50 wildly and sarcastically. Never on my mind would believe that many before me. And she looked up at me and said, probably, and I was like to myself, wow, fearful face. I made myself say I'm okay with that and put little thought into it after that, just assuming those crazy numbers again was before we got together. I never put the numbers together of her only having, for a year, maybe a year and a half before me. Her first time was at 15 and a half and we started dating at 17, and now agreeing to 30 to 50 men in that short time. Then on the drive home from the same weekend she said she wanted me to know she has never been with any other men since we were married, and I did not pick up on that little hint or tip since for about 5 months. And then on another trip she said it again about being with no other men since we were married. This was on our last trip February 9th, and then it hit me. We dated 5 years before we got married. Does this mean she had been with guys other than me during those 5 years? No way, fearful face, fearful face. Then when I pressured her to open up and talk, she tried to backpedal and say that was a way high number now, that she was off and probably it was really 30 or less, so let's say it was 30 or possibly 40, not up to 50. Generally a person's first response is the most accurate and honest answer because they don't have time to try and downplay the severity of their answer, or have time to sugarcoat and make it seem less hurtful for the other person. So I still feel it's closer to 50. So she broke it down and said she probably fucked 8 to 10 guys before we got together and dated, when she was age 15 to 17 years old, and that would be her total before we dated. I knew about her first at around late 15 to 16 and about dating another guy after, and she said she cheated on her first many times, and that was where I agreed with her 8 to 10 men prior to us was probably accurate. And I'm truly okay with that because it was before I even knew she existed and it don't count. I know she cheated on her first, and I guess I should have known she would cheat on me too. I just never would have thought 5 years worth of cheating, and only stopping because of our marriage supposedly. But we dated from age 17 to when we married at age 22 in 1991. That makes about 80 to 85% of the men she was with after her original 8 to 10 before we met. Actually be 0.20 or possibly 30 or more remaining men she slept with during our 5 years of dating. So in those 5 years of us together she slept with the biggest majority of men, and that's where I got so shocked and hurt, pleading face. I never in a million years thought she had slept with so many men while we dated, or in the few hours or days we were not together, and that was truly correct when I look back at the few days out of 5 years. Out of 1825 days in 5 years we were probably only apart 10 days of being supposed broke up or fighting as young couples do. That many men on such few days apart is astonishing. How had I not even suspected that she had fucked so many while we dated? When she fucked others during the 5 years of dating before marriage. Was it always with different men? How did she meet them? Already knew them? Just walk up and ask a stranger to. As far as a club, she was not old enough till the last year 1991 when we married? So how did she find so many so easy? Were they younger? Older? Did she bring them to our house when I worked out of town close to Mexico for a few months, or when I worked night shift at courthouse at nights before we married, all to save money to buy our first house? Did she do this when we fought for a night but still in the same house every night, together? Because there is to many men versus just if she only fucked if we broke up. Yes, we were young and immature. It's not like we broke up for months at a time, but as any new couple, fights happen and little mad breakups happen. I only remember a couple that were more than 2 or 3 days of mainly fighting more than broke up. I mean, we moved in together just after high school and spent all nights together. The amount guys in so few broke up days is astonishing. Fearful face. I was not perfect. I had hobbies I did, or go out with the guys. But I always remained faithful and never once thought to cheat or look at other women. Did she do it also for the thrill of the hunt? The excitement of someone new and just for the fun? Even when we were doing good and not fighting? Was it more for wanting the new, craving experience than the excuse of so-called fighting or broke up? No way she was looking for love or affection in a one night. It had to be just because she was, or just wanting to. No way she can say it was because of being broke up or just I was not paying her enough attention. Which in fairness I did do hobbies that took time, and I guess maybe I did not give her enough attention, but is that fair enough to go, other men? Were any men from our current town? Any I knew? No way she just randomly drove down the street asking guys to, as she says, to drive and say you're cute, want a drink, and there is more to it than that. She said 3 was from her hometown when she went to her dad's, but that was so few times as she was fighting with him. So why she say from there? Were they just randoms off the street as she say? Or did she know them from prior years and just called them up too? And she say the rest were from my hometown. Approximately, by doing quick math with numbers, she proved T could be 15 to 30 guys? She is good with numbers. She should see where I'm going. 8 to 10 prior to me. 3 in her hometown, she said, after we started dating. 17 from my hometown while we dated, if she is on the low side of 30, and possibly 10 more if we split her original number of 30 to 50 and average if at 40. I believe her first agreement on numbers closer to the 50 mark. Not her numbers when she is downplaying it now. Obviously, no matter how we count the numbers, she fucked 3 times more men, way more men while we dated than before we got together, and I consider it cheating regardless if we were fighting or so-called broke up for the night. Did she go out and someone then come home to me like nothing happened the same day and me? She says she does not remember the guys. She can't say she don't remember now or it was not important. Is important and personal. No way she don't remember. If I said I fucked 30 to 50 women, I guarantee I would remember 99% of them and when and where I did. Is it fair for me to ask who were the men? She never forgets things or names now, but conveniently now says she don't remember any of these 40 to 50 guys. Again, this does not change my love for her. It does not change the past. Or the future. I'm just trying to understand how it happened so many times why we dated. I mean, I know we fought, but not to that point. We were stayed apart at night. We lived together and I always came home. How did I not know? The only time I remember was during our months that we lived in my hometown and we broke up and was apart for a few days here and there, and that was when I thought maybe that was when she did it. Then there was a few weeks or maybe a month while I was in our current town and got us an apartment, trying to get established for her to move with me, and even then I came to my hometown every weekend to work at a gas station and to see her. Hell, I stayed with her. My stuff stayed there at our apartment. I guess that whole month she had plenty time to others and a place to do it while I was in our current town getting us set up to move to a new apartment. When I told her I'm not really hurt, because we were supposedly fighting or broke up, I lied. Yes, I'm hurting bad inside. Real bad, because of the amount of guys and them during our 5 years. That was no way all while we were broke up, and I can't shake it or get over it without her talking and explaining things to me so I can get it out of my head and move on to better thoughts. She says she regrets telling or saying anything to me. Do you think the reason for that is because now I'm asking so many questions? Or is it because now I'm thinking about every trip she made out of town, what she did, or now every time she go out of town I'm thinking about in more detail what she is really doing? How did she hide the truth so long and not feel bad? She was not honest for 35 years and obviously had no regret. Why regret being honest to me now? Again, I love her with all my heart. I just need the honest truth. Don't want her try to sugarcoat to save my feeling. They are already hurt about as bad as they can be. Want her to be honest now and try to help me understand and get my mind back into a good place, as I guess I hurt her not giving her the attention she needed, so she went looking, just shocked at how many guys during our dating and the curiosity of how and whom it was is eating at me and driving me insane. So now I'm just incredibly curious who all got her attention. Who won her over enough to? My hometown is small. She said the majority of the 30 plus were from my hometown, maybe up to 50. I knew most everyone. So, who did she? Where all these different guys just one night stands? Did she only fuck them one time and moved on? Or were some good enough she had to go back and them again or multiple times? If she were to sneak around behind my back and do this now, then yes. It would be super hurtful and horrible pain and probably tough to recover from emotionally and be so much easier to leave her. Wonder now if that's why she pushed so hard to get married at 5 years, because she thought that was the only way she could stop enjoying the chase and excitement of other men? Did the marriage papers truly stop her from others? I know she had a bad childhood and issues while early dating. I hate knowing she went through that and feel her pain. But she just can't say she don't remember all these guys now. That just not something a woman with a brain and memory like her that can remember things so minuscule down to the day. The time and what she wore that day and what the weather was and if it was a full moon or not. Fearful face. She don't forget things, period. She knows if the roles were reversed and I said I had slept with just one woman, let alone possible 18 to 20, maybe as high as 40 while we dated over 5 years and during supposedly fights. Or I felt lonely, that her curiosity would be on overload and her mind would be racing. Why? How did I pull it off so many times without her knowing that many times, and for sure who with? It bothered her for years just knowing I had dated 2 girls prior to her, and she asked many times if I fucked them. I told her no, and from day one I told her I was a virgin, had only kissed and touched the other 2 girls. I was being totally honest that she was my first. She would not settle with. I did not keep track or remember who they were and just let it go. She would be just like me or worse, asking who or names. It's been months and it's eating me up not know more about her the truth. Please help me figure out what to do. My hope is to just sit down and get it all out in one sitting and close this horrible ongoing nightmare I keep having. The sheer volume of men she slept with in the 5 years far outseeds the times we supposedly broke up. Most of the bad stuff was in the first 1 to 2 years. After that I don't remember bad things. Especially when we moved to our current hometown. Yet that, according to her, was when she slept with the most on trips away from our current hometown. She said she chased me so hard, so why was it so easy to sleep with someone else so quick if she wanted me so bad? I felt lonely for 16 to 17 years after our first child, and she put me on the back burner for 17 years. And I may have thought about cheating. Never could even come close to doing it. Only played it through in my head and could never have reason enough to follow through. Never once in all my life did I drive down the road and holler to some stranger, "Hey, you wanna?" Fearful face. She say she have not been with anyone since we married, but she hid it so well. How do I know that is the truth? She went on way more trips after married by herself. Supposed conferences, work trips for days, more to her dad's, many to my hometown. Many trips for supposedly working for one of her jobs. I even confronted her about a dream I had on phone that she was being fucked out of town, and she laughed and said no. She FaceTimed me a few times all dressed up in makeup late at night saying she been in room a few hours fixing to be going to bed, and she's all dressed, yet she can't make it indoor at home for 2 minutes and clothes off and makeup off. I bet she were going out even then. Pleading face. Do you see now why my mind is in overload thinking about all her trips now? That we're out of town for any length of time. I now feel that she were sleeping around. It was just too convenient. She had so many opportunities for her to cheat after marriage. It's just hard to believe that that little piece of paper said you're married would completely change your mind to not cheat from all the previous times. And now I've been spending hours and hours rolling through my mind every trip I could remember her being out of town for any length of time. Sometimes just for the day to my hometown or sometimes 3 or 4 days or 5 days out of state on supposed business. And now my mind is just blowing up thinking of what she did with all that time when it was so easy to find one to while away from home. Like I said, there's times that we FaceTime and I asked jokingly to what she was wearing, and it was still late and she was still dressed hot, so you can't blame me for wondering now that she had plenty of time to go out and hook up. Again, I'm sorry about all this. I want to trust her so much and believe this has not happened in our 33 to 34 something years of marriage. But then I know she would have the same thoughts creeping to her head if I told her what she told me if roles were reversed. She would be thinking back of every single time I was out of town or did anything, if I was hooking up at those times since I did so easy before. I just don't know how to get these thoughts out of my mind. I wonder about our early years of marriage. When I was out there working, was she lonely and did she go out and sleep with other guys? There was times when my first kid was born and I know she were super busy then and did not have the time to do anything, so I have nothing to worry about since my day was born. But my mind wanders the years before her when she were lonely, and I know we did not break up any time, but if she were lonely, then that piece of paper meant nothing. So wondering if she were sleeping around in the early 15 years of marriage? That's the question. Why would that piece of paper make a difference now? There is so much evil going through my head, and it's sad that it overpowers all of the great days and times that we've had over all these years, but the thoughts of what she did those 5 years and maybe even up to late time overpowers everything. I just gotta find a way to get it out of my head. Is it fair for me to ask her for all the names? Why? How many different men? Was it really closer to 50? Did she, after we married? But don't want to admit. I feel she did now and trying to spare my feelings. I replay every trip for years, wonders how many were the days. She has had 33 years to process this and I just got the news. Do I give her one more chance to come clean on who, why and where? Do I have that right to know these answers? Sorry for rambling, and the story is all over the place and in no real order. I am pecking this out on an iPhone. I'm just shocked, hurt, and it's eating me alive.